Hey darling.
Hello.
How are you? You all know that I love my conversations. What better way than to introduce our new MFHP coach, Nicole Morris? This is like a real more fit conversation. Okay, so what are we discussing today?
Today we're going to talk to you about 3 tips to running your first half marathon.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot more than just 3 things that are involved in doing your first half marathon. I think it's probably a good idea for us to preface this video and these 3 things to understand that we live our life in a manner of that we don't want it to overconsume us. So this is probably not the 3 best things if you're looking at maybe an athletic stance. This is like so you can have that life balance without it kind of overconsuming you.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
You agree with that? But then also obviously still achieving some seriously good results without all the downside.
So number 1, periodizations of your training. Okay, so once you pick an event, whether it's in 8 weeks' time, working from that event back towards now, periodizing when you're doing your runs, how many runs you're doing a week, how many kilometers, when's your rest, when's your recovery.
Nicole and myself used to try and apply the anything approach. We knew that, to do some sort of running, you had to do some endurance training, some aerobic training, some anaerobic training, musculoskeletal training, strength training. We probably used to try and shove it all together, thinking that we could get a nice big blend of everything. Periodized plan allows you to put your eggs in specific baskets at specific times.
But also with the periodization plan and following something like that, you need to still be able to listen to your body. And if it says that you're meant to run a certain amount of kilometers one week, but you're just not feeling it, or you haven't recovered as well as maybe another week, still being smart about it. So just because the plan says it doesn't mean you have to do it, but at the same time having some sort of outline plan of what would be good for you to achieve in particular weeks is probably the best thing to follow.
And I think that's where we come in, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where the difference is between what we program for and how we coach our clients, is that it's not just, okay, this is the program, because it's not set in stone. We only tick boxes if the body's ready to tick boxes, and we only tick boxes if the rest is there and the recovery's there, or if the stress is too high. It's always good to have a coach there to then obviously to reiterate the fact that rest is the number 1 priority when you create a stimulus. So number 1, periodized plan. Number 2,
nutrition and fueling, both around your training sessions but also around your event. The best thing I learned when I ran my first half marathon was to make sure that I was fueling my body efficiently. We're talking about like proper nutritional dense food, lots of vegetables, lots of meats, lots of protein, because I found if I fueled my body efficiently before training sessions and after training sessions and before and after the event, definitely noticed a massive change in my recovery and muscle soreness.
Yeah, well, I think that allows you to 1, train more, but then also to listen to your body a little bit more. Like if you're just chasing calories to exercise, even though you're still doing an event, and then you're chasing calories to eat, like you're always just constantly chasing calories. Like you go to train to then chase calories, and you go to eat and all you're doing is ticking off calorie numbers, whereas obviously focusing on the quality is allowing for those nutrients, but then also the digestibility of the food to then combine with your recovery and how much protein you should be having and all those sorts of things to allow you to then obviously get the most output or performance of your body without the burnout and things. I mean, there's so many people that you can see that gear themselves up for these half marathons. They do lots and lots of training, and the volume is really, really high, and they typically lose a bit of weight, and then they finish the event and they put it all back on again. And that's usually typically because of the diet, and because they can't learn to listen to their body, because all they're doing is chasing calories. And as soon as the volume of exercise or training goes down, because they can't listen to their body and they're not performing to those feats to produce all of that energy output, they still want to eat the same amount because they're not listening to their body. We delve into a pretty deep rabbit hole, so we'll try and keep it pretty shallow. So it obviously depends whether you're a sugar burner or you're a fat adapted athlete, fat adapted runner or endurance, because obviously the fuel that you have on a regular basis throughout the day and throughout the weeks will very dictate on what you would probably need to have after that training session. So for someone like yourself and I, who are relatively what we call fat adapted, eating immediately after is not really a huge priority, but even if we do, we would typically go for something like a high protein, high fat kind of meal.
Yeah.
with a fair bit of fiber and things like that if we were feeling. Whereas obviously if you're talking on the other side of the spectrum where you are quite glycolytic, running on sugar and glycogen and carbohydrates, then you probably want to make sure that you do get home, and within a smaller time frame you're probably going to want to refuel that up if that's what your body's been used to, because it would be another stress on your body if you're not going to consume.
Number 3 is don't go into your first event with a time goal, because that is what I did for my first half marathon. So I'd had Hamish 4.5 months before I did my first half marathon. I ended up getting in my head and saying, I really want to complete this event within 2 hours. So I'd never run a half marathon before, never run anything like that distance, and I finished my first half marathon in 2 hours, 1 minute and 59 seconds. So to me, I failed at my goal, but really you need to go into something just with the accomplishment. Go for the accomplishment, seeing what your amazing body can do rather than just focusing on a time or a number.
Correct.
These goals are your goals and not anybody else's goals. So when the gun goes off at the start of the event and everyone goes hammer and tong, that's when not to go hammer and tong with them trying to keep up. Like, run your event.
Yeah.
Complete your event. You're not doing it with the person next to you. You're doing it for yourself. So doing something like that at the start of an event can stuff you over for the whole thing and can affect you mentally.
Correct.
Like, this is your goal, your accomplishment, so run it the way that you want to run it.
So how long after your event would you recommend taking off?
I think when you're ready to go, as in mentally, like when your body says, I want to go for a run today, that's your time to go. It just depends who you are though, because some people would gear up the next day and go for a run.
Correct.
Which is our personal view is don't do that, but there's plenty of people out there who want to do that, and it's a bit of a mental battle with themselves, which is fine, but...
Well, you and I still have that same battle. Like, we've come from training just like everybody else and battling it out and thinking that every day is got to be a training day.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, next minute comes that we're resting for weeks on end. But yes, it can be hard. So I think that's probably where us as coaches come in, and we go knock on our clients' doors and remind people to say, hey, your body's just done this amazing thing for you. Maybe give it a bit of time just to kind of recuperate and recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, you're not going to lose your fitness in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. Okay, correct. Look after your body, let it recover, fuel it properly.
Go over the 3 nice and quickly. So the first one was a periodized plan. Understand exactly what your time frame is, okay, and there needs to be certain blocks of certain stages that you work through that. So rather than trying to blend everything together. Yeah. So rather than trying to do aerobic, your long runs, trying to do your short sprints and your weights training all together, it needs to be blocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that your body can adapt along the way and get the most out of it. Okay. So that's where we talk about eggs and however many baskets that we've got. The more baskets, the worse your results are going to be. The more you align and bring your baskets in and put all your eggs in certain time block, the better. Number 2 is nutrition. Yeah. So looking at what sort of foods that you're eating. It's amazing how we're within the fitness industry, and there's so much information out there just saying that, count your calories. All that matters is all about calories, but realistically the quality is number one.
Yeah.
The quality has to be number one for longevity wise. Anyone can get results for 12 or 15 weeks just counting energy balance. It's what happens after that, and I think that's what's given us the longevity in the endurance sport side of things for us to that desire to continue.
Yeah.
Would you agree? And number 3 was just go into it running your own race.
For your own achievement rather than time.
This is all for people that have not done a half marathon before or some sort of endurance event. We want to reach out to as many people as we possibly can. If you're in line with whether it's weight loss or whether it's endurance training as well, but we work with busy people. If you feel like you're not very busy and you have all the time in the world to train, then majority of the time we're not your people to help you. We like to help and coach people through, you can live a really busy life, you can work as much as you like, you can also be busy with child and being a mother and being a parent, and how can we still fulfill our our fitness goals
Yeah,
while
definitely.
work and all these other things happen. So I think that's our biggest asset that we have, is that we don't want to slow down work. We don't want to slow down on our fitness careers either, but we also don't want that to impact our family life, which is realistically, why we go to work in the first place.
Yeah.
So if you want some coaching and you feel like you just need a little bit of a hand, reach out either to myself or Nicole, and we'll be happy to help you. See you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doc.